Alrighty, so in today's video, we are going to be covering what to pack for an Alaska cruise from somebody who just finished an Alaska cruise, and I am still on the cruise ship. I am currently in my cabin. I'm about to start packing my bags because I'm getting off the ship tomorrow, but I want to go over everything I packed for this 7-day Alaska itinerary, what I used, what I didn't use, and what you actually need to bring, because I know when you're going to Alaska, it's easy to think, I'm going to need a parka, I'm going to need snow boots and gloves and heavy duty gear. That is not the case, at least if you are going on a summer cruise to Alaska. So let's dive right in and talk about what you actually need. So let's talk about the tops. What I did was pack 4 different turtlenecks. I'm a turtleneck girl, but you can also go for a long sleeve if you prefer that. I think it's really good to go for materials that are breathable and that aren't going to get wet if you start perspiring from all the hiking or any heavy duty activities you may be doing. Maybe you're going for some active excursions. I also packed 2 button-down shirts, 1 long sleeve and 1 short sleeve for evening dining. Now, Alaska cruises aren't super fancy when it comes to dining because you do spend most of the day outdoors, you know, hiking and going on wildlife tours. It's not as dressy as maybe some of the Caribbean cruises or Mediterranean cruises, just to give you a few examples. So when it comes to dining, the rules are no tank tops, no flip-flops, and no short shorts, and no baseball caps. So pretty easy. So for tops, honestly, this is about as dressy as it got. Now, aside from the long sleeves or the turtlenecks, I also packed 1 fleece. This was my warmest layer, I would say. This is what kept me warm when we were out sightseeing for the day, especially on the cool, rainy days. And on top of that, I had a windbreaker. I would recommend going for something that is waterproof. You know, you want a rain jacket. Mine turned out to be not so waterproof. Maybe I've just had it for too many years and it has lost its impermeability. So yeah, go for a jacket that is waterproof and it's got kind of like a windbreaker quality to it. That's honestly all you need for Alaska. You do not need to bring like your thickest winter jacket or a parka or anything of the sort. Because that would honestly be a bit overkill for the temperatures. So fleece, rain jacket, and you've got it. I also brought 1 toque or a beanie, and I did wear that on the coldest day when the temperatures were hovering around 12 Celsius. And then I bought a baseball cap during one of my first port days. So I forgot to bring a baseball cap, but I was able to get one. And if you want to do some souvenir shopping, there's lots of really cool baseball caps in Alaska. So you can just get it at your first or second destination once you're here. Aside from that, I also packed 3 pairs of pants. I opted for jeans. My husband opted for hiking pants. And honestly, I only wore 2 of my 3 pants. So as you can see, we packed super light for our 1-week cruise. So aside from that, you also want to bring your socks and your underwear. You can bring a week's worth. I like to bring 10 just in case, but you do your thing. And honestly, that was it for my packing list. Now, for my husband, he brought 2 long pairs of pants, 1 pair of shorts. For the Alaska cruise, he only wore the 2 pairs of long pants, but he did wear the shorts on embarkation day and also the day we had in Vancouver before getting on the cruise, because I mean, it is summer here in Canada and it was nice. You know, the temperature was hovering around the low to mid-20s Celsius, so it was pleasant. He only packed 1 pair of shoes, and that was a pair of hiking boots, which he wore every single day. Then for tops, he did 7 t-shirts and he got 5 flannels, long sleeves, and he wore everything he brought. He also brought a windbreaker. Yeah, that was sufficient. So we'll talk about footwear quickly. I only brought 2 pairs of shoes. I wore running shoes 6 out of the 7 days of the cruise. Just very simple gray running shoes that sort of go with everything. These are just really comfortable, good arch support, and good for long days of walking, which you'll be doing a lot of during your Alaska trip. Aside from that, I also brought 1 pair of hiking shoes. Now, I only wore this pair one day and I chose to wear them on a really rainy, wet day when I knew that my running shoes were definitely going to get wet. Now, these are Merrell's. I just find them really comfortable. I can wear them all day. I've worn Merrell hiking shoes for years now, and they're some of my favorites. So yeah, those were the only two pairs I needed. And like I mentioned earlier, Alaska cruises aren't super fancy, especially when it comes to dining. So it's totally okay to wear your running shoes or even your hiking shoes to dinner. Lots of people do it. Nobody's going to look at you funny. Now, of course, there were people on the cruise ship who chose to dress up. You know, there were ladies who brought beautiful dresses and heels, but there isn't a set dress code. So you have a lot more flexibility when you do an Alaska cruise in that regard. Now, we are also traveling with our 8-month-old baby. So I wanna show you what I packed for baby. She didn't actually wear everything I brought, but I think it's good for you to have an idea of what I did bring and the fact that it kind of was a bit of an excess. So I brought 3 fleece sleeper suits. So these are really warm and, you know, I let her wear them during the day and also to sleep in. So I got 3 of them. As you can see, she actually only wore these thick sleeper suits 2 of the days when we were out sightseeing for most of the day and it was quite cold. That was when we visited Juneau and Sitka. On those days, the temperature was around 10 to 12 Celsius. So yes, she wore one of her thick little suits and then she also had her little bear beanie. And I also brought 2 sweaters for her. One's a knit sweater, one is a fleece sweater, and then she also had a little padded vest with a hoodie. And honestly, that was all she needed for the cooler days when we were out and about. When we were here on the ship, it was obviously a lot warmer. You know, you can regulate the temperature in your room. So that's when she just wore her simple cotton outfits. So by that, I mean either a cotton sleeper suit, something like this, or she had one of her little combo outfits where she had a little shirt and a little pair of pants underneath. Now, I brought a week's worth of outfits and honestly, that worked out for us. It was all she needed, but she's the type of kid where sometimes she can wear the same outfit for 2 or 3 days and not get dirty at all. And sometimes you may need to change her 2 or 3 times in one day because food accidents happen and explosions happen. So you know your child best. I think it's always good to have a little bit extra. So that's why I maybe packed a little bit more for her. But she did wear, I would say, 70% of what I brought. I also had little socks for her, cotton ones, and I had warmer, fuzzy booties that she could wear when we were outdoors. And of course, I brought 2 little toques in case one got lost or misplaced. And she also had a little sun hat for the sunnier days. And that is everything that I packed for baby. Okay, so now we're going to talk about our toiletries and what exactly we brought. I should mention, we only brought 1 suitcase for 3 people, for myself, my husband, and our baby. So as you can see, our approach to packing for Alaska was quite minimalist. We only brought the essentials. And honestly, there wasn't anything that we were lacking. So that's something to keep in mind if you are a bit of an overpacker. Actually think about what you are going to wear. You need less than what you might think you do. So for the bathroom, I brought a pair of flip-flops for the shower. This is something that I do when I travel. It doesn't matter if it's a hotel or a cruise ship. I do like to have flip-flops for showers. Then I brought sunscreen because we didn't know if we were gonna get some really sunny days. We did not, except for one day, but there was no need for sunscreen. Good to have it anyway. Toothpaste, toothbrush, deodorant, some hand lotion, and chapstick. Notice how we did not bring a shampoo or conditioner or body wash. We just used what was provided in the bathroom in our cabin. They had a conditioning shampoo and body wash, and we figured for a week we're happy to use their stuff. We didn't want to haul a whole bunch of liquids when it wasn't really necessary. Now, if you love your shampoo, you love your conditioner, do bring your own, because I would say this stuff was just average, but I mean, for a week, it did the job. So I am not a huge makeup girly, as you can probably tell, but I thought I would show you what I have in my little makeup kit anyways. Face moisturizer, BB cream instead of foundation, brow powder, eyeshadow, lip liner, mascara, eyelash curler, hairbrush, makeup remover pads. So I know you're probably thinking this does not look like a lot of stuff, and no, it is not, but like I mentioned, we are quite minimalist when it comes to packing and bringing things on a trip. We fit everything I've shown you into one suitcase, and honestly, half the suitcase was just diapers for baby and her vegetable puree pouches. So we're going home a lot lighter and with a half empty suitcase. We brought a lot more camera gear and computers and electronics than we did clothing, because we were interested in capturing the trip visually and sharing that imagery with you. So yes, that's just our travel style. We do tend to travel light, but I hope you found this video helpful and that it gave you an idea of what you need to pack for your trip to Alaska. So as you can see, you can keep it light, you can keep it easy. So if you enjoyed this video, I invite you to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be seeing you very soon with more travel adventures. Ta-ta!